Hey guys, so it's bringing you another video. Welcome back to High Rating Spectates. Today we are watching Jayce, because obviously I used to play a lot of Jayce back in Season 9. He was like one of the big reasons why I got Master back then, but I haven't really touched him a lot since. I kind of want to see if he's any good, and obviously we are watching a replay of a guy doing well with it, so that's kind of confirmation bias, if that makes sense. Like, we're not watching a game that he gets stomped, but if somebody can do well in very high rating, right now this player we're watching is 480 LP Master EUS, so just shy of Grandmaster on EUS, is obviously a very high rating, and if you took a garbage champion into that rating, you'd probably get wrecked. So if he can have a good performance, he's also against Aurelia, which I know Aurelia isn't in like crazy terms of balance right now, but it's still Aurelia. You still have to be careful. You still have to respect its Aurelia, otherwise it can backfire. So that's what we're doing. As for the actual player that we're watching, so the player, as I mentioned, is that rating. He's a Jayce main, 113, no wait, actually in SOLOQ, 109 games of Jayce and 60.6% win rate with a positive KDA. So pretty good. Like, that's really good stats for being this high rating. Obviously, the higher rating you go, you expect the win rate to slowly go down because you're getting closer to your true rating, thus not winning as many games. And so yeah, we'll see how it goes. As for his runes, etc., by the way, he has gone Conqueror, which is actually interesting. Probably maybe because, again, burst meta is over. You've got to go for more sustained, increased long-term fights. So I've got it too slow. So Conqueror is probably better in that way. And yes, Aurelia is actually used as a Jayce counter. I know that from when I used to play Jayce quite a lot. Presence of Mind, Bloodline, and Last Stand. He's expecting to get low health naturally against an Aurelia. Futures Market. Ooh, that's an interesting choice. Is actually trading an Aurelia at level 1. Why is he doing this? Because Aurelia does not. He's going to go all in here. He's going to... Oh, he's not. I thought he was going to flash Q Ignite auto, but didn't. But that's a really good way at level 1. Yeah, abuse... Like, the way that Aurelia abuses other champions, like, you know, when Aurelia can beat a mini-Gnar and everybody... Or Gnar, everyone's like, how does she do that? She abuses when he's mini-Gnar. You have to do roughly the same thing to Aurelia in the early game, is when she doesn't have a passive up, she's actually pretty weak. So that is where... Oh, he took W level 1. Oh, right, okay. So he took W level 1 for increased attacks. Ah, okay. So to me, that was probably Like, if he didn't take an ability early, if he took it while the fight was happening, he did it for that extended fight because he knew what was happening, which is also kind of smart. A lot of players just take an ability, and, you know, some champions, you have to take the same ability at level 1. There's only one choice. But Jayce can actually take... Technically, he can take all 3 at level 1. You don't really want to take E level 1, obviously, but you can take it if you need to get someone off you. Aurelia's not respected. Wow. And Wukong's top lane, Jayce execute? Gets executed. Ooh, very nice, very nice. That is an Aurelia that's not respecting the Jayce with, by the way, Ignite. Wouldn't be too surprised because it even happens to, all ratings. It happens. Probably she didn't know he had Ignite. That is my guess. I've done it. We've all done it. Challenger players even do it. Of, oh, they have Ignite. I died. So, just to say, that Aurelia, quite a bad death. But that obviously death, a lot of it came from what happened at level 1. That early aggression from Jayce gives him lane pressure, gives him the lane prio, gives him the health bar advantage. Thus, then eventually killing Aurelia with that Ignite play. Really nice. What also wasn't obvious, by the way, while the engage was happening, he dinged level 3. He leveled up his ability and actually used it straight away. So that also is something to mention. It's where it's really basic advice, really obvious advice to many League players, but it's the strength of not clicking your level up. If you're in combat, you don't have time to click your level up to then, because you're in a fight. But if you're pretty good with the keyboard and you're in the middle of a fight, you can use control and then whatever ability it is you want to level up, you can do that. And you can see the Aurelia can trade in with it with passive up. You can level up during combat, and then you can use the ability during combat. So that is one of the really big, nice benefits of using the keyboard to level up your abilities instead of the mouse. Hello, Pink Peach. Anyway, so Jayce, as you can tell, has come back to lane, is now actually, you could say, at lane disadvantage. He took a relatively bad trade versus the Aurelia. Aurelia naturally also with her Q has got more sustained than a Jayce. Weird that Aurelia's going back now. She actually had pretty good lane pressure and then just throws it away. So the lane gets the reset and Jayce kind of gets off the hook, I would actually say, for a while. And now the lane is even crashing into Aurelia's tower. So this is gold and XP that she is simply missing. 2 minions so far. 3 minions. 4. She's going to miss a whole minion wave. 5 and 6. She misses a whole minion wave because I don't think she should have gone back then. Jayce, I would say, I think was having to go back after that nonetheless. Where Aurelia, I don't think she needed to because she would have regened anyway with her Q. So to me, that's a little bit of a mistake because Jayce is now returning to lane. Technically, with still a lane lead or farm, Aurelia will naturally catch up, and now the lane is back pushing to Jayce. So if Jayce is really smart, he won't use too much AoE, get the lane back over to his side, and then he maintains lane control. So this has not been incredibly well played by the Aurelia so far, well, in the last play. So yeah. Yes, Aurelia did start with Doran's shield. That is, I would say, respecting the Jayce. Jayce is a lane bully if played correctly. I think where Jayce fell off for me after season 9, so season 10 and even 11, is he couldn't really lane bully. So when you're a lane bully champion and you cannot lane bully, he kind of becomes useless. And why did that happen, by the way? Oh, misses that. Really nice. Into an Aurelia. Really good E. Really good flash. Can he survive? Wukong knows he can't go for this. There's no way. He's going to try, get Jayce a bit lower, then probably re-engage to drop the tower aggro. Jayce needs to do his best here. What can he do? Gets the damage into the AoE. 1 kill. He's going to get 2. Plays it really well. And bam, double kill. Really good by the Jayce. He did a really good job. So many people, I would say, potentially even including myself, would have potentially done damage and focused on the minions, so the enemy team would have been on tower aggro straight away. I don't actually think the Jayce would have had enough time to do that, and I think he recognized that, so actually focused on just doing damage to the Wukong before the second engage happened, thus giving the Wukong an instant death, and then Aurelia was already low by the initial engage. So he actually played that basically perfectly. And that's the thing. That is high rating decision making, because I think personally I would have made the decision to focus the minions. And I think he probably would have got 1 kill in that tower dive, but I don't think doing the minion play, he would have got both. But his play, he ended up with a double kill. So that's really good to see. He will go for a full engage now because he has clear advantage. He just got double kill gold. He knows Aurelia doesn't have TP. Couple of autos into a Q. Bam, gets another kill. Really nice. And that is what we're watching or wanting to see from a Jayce, is lane domination. This is the Jayce that I remember from season 9, that you won lane early, you bullied early, you forced enemy into mistakes because of the pressure that you're dealing, and then you just kind of snowball. And yes, Kashu, you are correct. His abilities of how he's auto-attacking in between abilities and when he's actually using his abilities, it's very clean. Again, as speaking, I would actually call myself an ex-Jayce player at this point. I don't actively play Jayce. I've played 2 games of Jayce, I think, this season. I've won both of them, but I'm not actively playing the champion. This is very good. This is très bien, as the French would say. But anyway, item build. I don't think item build for Jayce would be too different from when I used to play him massively. I don't know if Season 9 didn't have mythic items. Again, it's hard to remember which seasons had what. I do think Jayce is an Eclipse user potentially nowadays. I think that's probably the best one for him. He's obviously buying lethality early. You could potentially ignore the mythic item early if you don't think one suits him perfectly. But again, I do think Eclipse goes well on him. Oh, Huzzy Cannon. Obviously, Muramana, yes, because that's going to give him scaling. And yes, the Surround Drills, whatever, Grudge, fantastic item on him as well. So it's quite weirdly similar to... there is an Ezreal build that is floating around that is quite like that. Jayce is weirdly similar in that avenue. Not the best Q. Auto-attacking, which is, again, just lovely to get those auto-attacks in. Do not underestimate just getting that extra little bit of damage. You know, it just unstabilizes sometimes what the enemy team wants to do. They are, as you can see, Talia pinging top lane. Does that mean, which is quite rare, a Diana mid could be roaming to top lane? Could be, so Jayce is respecting that. And you hate to do it when you're winning lane. He's having to run really away because there could be a jungler and a Diana here, so he's respecting that. It sucks because you want to win lane, you're the lane bully, and I'm having to now play passive and give Aurelia basically free from. That right there, okay, let me just explain. This right here should tell the Jayce that no one is top lane. And I'm actually going to check this as well. The reason why, she just used her stun as a ranged move to farm. If there was a jungler or a mid laner there to actually help her, she would never do that in a million years. So she is actually worried that people are top lane right now. That's why she's playing passive. Also, she doesn't know where Jayce is. She doesn't know where, I guess, most people are, because what she's probably worried about, she can see Kayn. She probably doesn't know Talia's in bot lane too. So if I go on view all right now, in theory, because of what that Aurelia just did, Wukong should be nowhere near top lane. Here we go. Am I right? He's at blue. So it's kind of near, but not near enough for a gank. But that's the thing. So that should give the Jayce the pressure, the knowledge that he should be able to just go back in lane. Now, the problem is with that, obviously, we did see, Wukong doing blue buff. Yeah, Wukong could come top. But Aurelia is now TP bot lane. Dying a big ulti with also Aurelia cleanup. That is a big play for the enemy team. Obviously, with your opponent having teleport and you don't, Jayce instantly recognizes, oh, she's left the lane. I need to push like mad. So I would hopefully say Jayce should be trying to get this tower. I don't know if he's going to be able to fully get it, but he should get at least 2 tower plates. So that weirdly, it doesn't match exactly what Aurelia just got, because Aurelia got a kill and assist at least. He may have even got 2 assists. But if Jayce gets 2 tower plates, a few minion waves that Aurelia's not getting, then it is roughly even in terms of top lane. Obviously, it's a negative situation overall. You can see the gold lead right now for blue team is a few thousand. So yeah, Jayce gets himself 2 kills. Oh, sorry, 2 plates there. As for gold, so Jayce is still actually, because of that, really nicely done and a couple more kills. He's 1,000, in essence, gold ahead of Aurelia. So that's really good. Obviously, the gold lead is skewed heavily, 3,000 gold for blue team. So where is that? Well, not jungle. It's a 300. Mid lane is really where it is. So yeah, Diana's got 5.3 and Talia's only got 3.4. So a 2,000 basically gold lead in mid. And then also over 1,000 gold lead, a 0-3 Xayah, 1,000 gold lead in AD carry. So this sometimes, and I used to main top lane for many years, as people know, it's sometimes the nature of top lane that is also frustrating, is especially if you're a non-teleport user, you could be doing well, you could be winning lane, you could be stomping lane, but if your bot lane is feeding, there is nothing you can do, realistically, to bot lane, with not having teleport. If you're taking teleport or you're playing Shen, for example, yeah, you can try to do something or try to help a little bit, but it's still difficult. And yeah, Pyke might be 1,000 gold ahead as well. So 4,000 gold lead now for blue team. This is not going well for them. Diana mid, Diana mid, I wouldn't say scary, but Diana as a champion, still fairly scary. Diana now ganking top lane. Bad ulti. I actually don't think he needed to dodge that or flash that. That's unfortunate. Dragon is up, I believe. Enemy team, are we watching deja vu right now? He gets 1 at least. Nearly gets another double kill. Enemy team nearly mucked that up. Kayn is asking for Ash Arrow on something. She doesn't throw it. And yes, it is another Ash support. I'm seeing Ash supports a lot. And as people I think are very aware, I am not a fan of Ash support. Partially, I will say, is obviously I've never liked cheese picks. And to me, it's always going to be a cheese pick. Pyke steals the dragon, by the way. That's a disaster for red team. But yeah, I'm never going to like something like Ash mid. But it's not the fact that it's just a cheese pick. It is a kind of counter to my champion pool. I play immobile mages a lot of the time, or immobile champions a lot of the time, and Ash arrows every 30 seconds is a nightmare for immobile mages, because that's who Ash is directly going to try and hit, because she knows they're immobile. So, yes. Are they lane swapping? They might be. So, yep, they have lane swapped. Why would the enemy team do this? Well, the Talia's not doing too well at the moment. She's doing fine, but that will be a lot easier, I would say, obviously. Jay, look at the Jay. He's going against a fed Diana. Kayn is nearby, so maybe that's why he has the aggression. But he has the confidence to be like, we can just murder you. And they did. So that is obviously a disaster for the enemy team. Whenever you do lane trades, the reason why you do a lane trade like that is to protect the weak player more than make the strong player stronger. So that is Diana, you can go against Jayce. You're not going to die against him in theory. You're really fed. You'll be fine. And the Aurelia, you're not having as good of a game. We'll put you mid. You'll be fine against Taliyah. You'll be able to just recover and farm a bit. It's a disaster if either of those champions die. And obviously the fed one is the one that shouldn't die the most, and the fed one has died instantly to a jungle gank. So that is really good for red team, really bad for blue team. Really good Kayn ult, times it perfectly. Ash arrow coming through. That didn't hit Jayce because they're on the same team. I was wondering why that didn't hit, and then I realized. Wukong goes down. Aurelia potentially out of position. She does have flash and instantly flash, just doesn't even... Not even wanting to challenge the enemy team. You know, oh, maybe they'll miss. Doesn't even want to find out. I'm just flashing. I'm not going to die. There we go. Hey, Jeppers. So that, I would say, is an indication of where the Aurelia's headspace is. Of, like, I'm not too confident to outplay the enemy team right now. I'm just going to flash. And by the way, you'll notice, oh, Diana is back mid lane, gets a tier 2 tower. So why did they lane trade back? The reason why they lane trade back is because the moment Diana went top lane, she died instantly. So that Diana's mentality of like, oh, screw the lane trade. My first and only death is when I lane traded with you. I'm going back to mid lane. So that is the mentality of when you lane trade and then go back. Unfortunately for Aurelia, again, to be honest, I can't massively blame her for that death. I will say she did use flash earlier, so maybe you should have played a bit more passive. But there's a Jayce and a Kayn just waiting around the corner in your jungle. You're not really going to predict that 9 times out of 10, let's be honest. So you can't blame Aurelia too much for that death. It is worth knowing the Jayce is still down on farm. But he's obviously got a lot more pressure and kills, etc. Red team is still behind on gold, but they are catching up. So they were 4,000 gold behind. They are now less than that. Jayce himself, if we look at top lane diff now again, 7.7 to 5.8, nearly 2,000 gold lead for Jayce, which I think is what roughly he had anyway, or around that. And then, again, under a 2,000 gold lead for the enemy thingy. Ashe is monstrously behind. And then mid lane is also still very much behind. So this is still advantage blue team right now. Is worth knowing, one thing that is stand out to me in Jayce's his setup, futures market for me is very interesting. So futures market, it does make sense. Why? Jayce is a heavy item spiking champion, very heavy item spike champion. He relies on certain spikes, especially in the early game, like getting your first serrated Dirk is when you actually a lot of the time get kill pressure. If you need that little bit extra gold to get those item spikes a bit quicker that then can snowball your early lane phase, that's why you get futures market. I actually really like that idea because it is for champions that need to snowball and arguably in the early game. Unfortunately, Aurelia, by the way, arguably the weak Aurelia, very odd positioning by the Ashe. So the enemy bot lane, to be honest, this Jayce has kind of got bot lanes that normally are on my team. There's 0-9 bot lane. I do sympathize with the Xayah. I would never want to have an Ashe support. It's never going to help too much in lane phase, especially against something like a Pyke that goes hard on engaging. If you get caught, Ashe isn't going to do anything for you, or the Pyke is likely just to focus the Ashe. So, again, rough game for Jayce. We'll see what he can do. Again, the Kayn's doing okay. The Jayce is doing okay. The rest of them are having a bit of a rough match. The Taliyah, I would say at least, is farming okay amount in comparison to, you know, how she's doing otherwise. So she's staying relevant. Just her damage, I will say, because she's so far behind, she's got an item and a bit where Diana's got 2 completed items. Her damage will be very lackluster at the moment, will be the Taliyah. So, yeah. So, Jayce side laning, Dragon is being done. Obviously, Pyke did steal the last one too slow by the... Again, you understand why you're doing it as the Kayn. Oh, big knock up into the AoE damage and will go down eventually. But he did a lot of damage. Is this clean up Isle Jayce? Let's find out. Taliyah's here. Jayce focusing the Wukong. I do think that was the wrong target. Jayce is actually desperately trying to get in, but his own Taliyah's wall blocked him. They will end up surviving, which isn't terrible. So they have killed 2 people. Could have been more if the Taliyah maybe removed the wall a bit earlier. And again, kind of a bad moment because the enemy team didn't even have their AD carry. She's weirdly split pushing in top lane, but they still end up with the dragon. So that's, again, not great. So 2.5 items complete by Jayce. Last Whisper coming out. Obviously, big Armor penetration. Oh, big Ash arrow. Caught, well, not caught sleeping is the Kai'Sa. Caught bad basing. And this should be a free kill. Very nice shutdown for the Jayce. And actually a good Ash arrow. So I presume, obviously, she was split pushing. I don't know if they had vision of her walking in that bush. But it's a pretty easy guess, I would say, of, oh, Kai'Sa was split pushing when she probably shouldn't. She's going to want to go back now. Where is she going to be? Oh, she's probably going to be basing in. She'd probably be either in this bush or this bush, and maybe Ash has 50-50'd it and chose the right one. Unfortunately, Ash got caught again. 0-6 Ash. But, yeah. All right, so Eclipse, by the way, is what he did. Muramana, second, Mana Mune, which will transform into Muramana eventually. And then last Whisper, third item. Oh, no. Monkey does get the root. Don't think she can get away because the red buff. Cantilly, never mind. This, you can see, okay, so you can see some pings by the Jayce. I think most people, a Melkor, this is kind of the mentality, or similar to, as I've said, games that I've had a lot recently, of what is my team doing? Wukong arguably is overstayed here. We know he's W'd over. It does get slow, but don't think they can get it. Jayce may be going for the Aurelia now. But yeah, it's very frustrating. We all know it. When you're 8-3, you're doing well, but you only can do so much. You can't control how your teammates are doing. And literally the only other teammate that is doing okay is Kayn. Other than that, 2-3, 0-6, 0-6. It's frustrating. It's frustrating for any player. And again, this Jayce, even higher expectations than I have of my own teammates. This guy's in basically Grandmaster MMR. These players should be really good, right? They should know to stop feeding and play more passive to stop the deaths building. Because someone will say, or, you know, bad games always happen. They do, no matter what. You will have games that you don't play very well. Aurelia passive up, so Jayce got to actively fight in it, and it's not even close at the beginning of the fight. But Aurelia, as you can see, as Jayce's spells go on cooldown, she did catch up a little bit in that damage, but does ultimately die. Xayah dead again. Xayah dead again, 0-7. Kayn doing what he can, finds the pike into the whole, basically, the enemy team. Kayn does get a cheeky kill there. Will go down in the end, though. Really good by the Kayn. So far, this is basically a 2v5. Jayce and Kayn versus the world. Can they do it? Can they actually pull this game off? We'll see. Yeah. So he does get a bot lane tower. I don't think objective bounties are up. No, they're not. They have killed Baron. Oh! Enemy team have already killed Baron. Yeah, that's not great for Jayce's team. Talia also overstays the mid lane, but I don't think she's dead this time, and Jayce is going to go back. He is starting, by the way, his farm is increasing quite rapidly because he's starting to side lane heavily. And, you know, he is 9 kills, but the kills have slowed down compared to what they were in the early game. So naturally, you're farming more instead of getting kills. So there's the grudge, by the way. So there is what we predicted, the first 3 items. That chain vest, it's either a Death's Dance, which isn't a terrible idea, or it's a Guardian's Angel, is what I would say. I would actually be inclined to say it's a Death's Dance, because it is a very good ability to stop you just getting one shot. And if you're quite fed, sometimes that is actually the better thing to go, because if your team is behind, GA isn't always the best thing in the world. Why? Because it saves your life. If your team is behind and you die as the fed person, it's very likely that the enemy team has killed you and you're going to be among the enemy team when you revive. So, because, you know, your team is losing. Where Death's Dance can potentially make you survive situations that you should never survive. So, thus actually being a better option, especially in games that you're behind. Enemy team caught out. Pyke going to go potentially down. Aurelia going down straight away. Kayn doing big damage. And this is the thing. Kayn. Kai'Sa did a very weird move there. She literally just yeeted herself in the middle of the enemy team. So even though blue team is really ahead, or was really ahead, Wukong even goes down, shut down for Jayce. 11-3-1. Really far ahead Jayce. Sorry, really far ahead blue team. They have just completely thrown that in just one fight. In a really weird way. And that is just the strength of Kayn. That champion is ridiculous. And I will just state it right now. Healing is busted. Like, Riot have no clue what they're doing if it comes to healing. They can't decide what to do. Healing, or like self-champion healing. And that's the thing that I think Riot really need to differentiate. Self-champion healing, like Kayn and Aatrox and all that, is crazy strong. Especially now that they've nerfed anti-healing to the point that you shouldn't even really build it. It's terrible. It's 25% for the first item or whatever, and 40% for the second. It was 60% when even healing was, I don't even think, as good. Where they need to... Okay, I don't think healing is broken when it comes to Soraka or Soda, because that's what they do. That's their identity. But I think it's broken for Gore Drinker, is still crazy, and all of that stuff. They need to tone that down, but also make potentially Grievous Wounds better again. I don't know. It just feels that Riot's a bit all over the place when it comes to healing. It is actually a GA, by the way. Varkaz 1991, 22 months tier 1s, has been away for a while. Good to be back. Nice to have you back, man. So I will say it does confuse me why he's gone GA. Again, maybe because the mentality is we just actually won that team fight really easily. Maybe we'll start winning. So I'd say GA is arguably a better item when you're winning, but a Death Dance is a better item than you're losing. On Jayce is obviously situational depending what champion you're playing, but on Jayce specifically, I prefer that way around. Enemy team going all in, arguably, yeah, really bad by Jayce. So this point, you've died, you've got that GA, amazing, right? Well, it doesn't matter. Did nothing for you. You just respawned and died instantly, so it literally was irrelevant, your GA. That's where Death's Dance is better. So that's where I think that Jayce actually made a mistake with his build. I do think he should have had a Death's Dance instead. Do I think Death's Dance would have saved his life then? No, but it would have delayed his death more, because it's an anti-burst item, so he wouldn't have died straight away, maybe giving himself a bit more damage to do, and maybe a bit more time for his team to recover. Let's see what the Kayn can do. He cleared all the minions, and that was what he wanted to do as his big task. He will go down. Enemy team have got no minions, though. So that is the problem. No minions, no massive tanks, so they cannot end. So that was a big mistake by the Jayce. Really big mistake. And that's another thing why I don't massively love GA when you're losing. When you're losing, you're likely to die more often because your team's behind. And GA on cooldown isn't great. That's kind of the whole point of GA, is the cooldown reviving, and now he doesn't even have that for minutes. That's another reason I don't think he should have GA. Death Dance would have just been a better item 100%. But anyway, hopefully the Jayce doesn't just kind of walk too forward by himself and die solo again. Because again, you know, the enemy team did use a lot for him, but he is worth it. It's literally, he's over 10 kills. He's very, very fed. Yeah, like, he needs to be a little bit more careful, a little bit more smart. I don't know. All right, enemy team, sorry, red team grouping up. And welcome to the stream, Pinkie Pie. Welcome, welcome. Enemy team still ahead on gold, and arguably their gold lead has increased, by the way. God damn. Aurelia might be side laning. She's nearly got teleport, and that is one of the advantages of mid to late game teleport, is you can side lane. And if you're, you know, you don't have someone matching you, then you can really push. And if you do have someone like side laning you, if you win the fight, it's a huge advantage. Unfortunately for Jayce, he goes down because randomly Kai'Sa was nearby. So there are mistakes creeping in by the Jayce. I would also wager again, and I hate to say it again, Death's Dance would have probably given him that kill on Aurelia. Diana going all in, arguably too all in, gets rooted, getting auto attack. Zyro needs to be careful. Kayn gonna do what he can. Nearly dead. Get into the ulti and will go down. Good shutdown. Good knock up. Kayn is doing as much as he can, dude. I feel for him. Aurelia, though, getting some kills. Xayah is in the area. This game is looking pretty over. The Jayce has played really well, but there have been mistakes that have creeped in, and I think there we go. So I will say, everybody, we're going to upload the game. I normally don't do high rating spectators that are losses. I will also say I actually wasn't aware that this game was a loss. So, but still, it was good. This game also highlights that you can't always do everything. And let's be honest, the Jayce and the Kayn were doing well. They definitely could have won this game. They were making a comeback. But the Jayce kind of blew the game quite badly too. Like, him getting caught, popping GA, gave the enemy team everything basically in their base. That mistake was huge. And here's the thing. It's not always fair, because the big reason why Jayce's team lost this game is because how behind his team got. Bot lane just fed like crazy. Mid lane got really behind. So it wasn't Jayce's fault that they lost the game, but the one moment that the game got actually lost was him getting caught. But he played really well. He got fed. So yeah, that's the thing. But But anyway, that is going to be it. If you guys did enjoy a bit of Jayce, gave me a couple ideas, especially the futures market, and also that heavy aggression, even against an Aurelia, is good to see. Interesting that he took Ignite. Maybe he's taking Ignite because he knows he wants to beat that Aurelia, potentially. But yeah, that's going to be it. If you guys enjoyed, do throw a like on it, throw a comment, throw a subscribe. See you guys next time. Goodbye.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal